Live in this much anticipated hearing for fallen music mogul Sean Diddy Combs in his criminal case. Now, there is apparently a lot going to be happening today. So first of all, Combs is expected to appear in court, and he has already appeared, I should tell you, for an arraignment on the second superseding indictment in the government's case. And remember, this was filed last week. He is facing...
You already know the vibes. We are back with another one. We are back with another one. Salute to everybody in the building. You already know this is the On-Go sector, the On-Go network. I'm OOTA On-Go. We're getting into this Diddy case. We're getting into the situation. We're going to be breaking down some breakdown from Law and Crime as well. Salute to everybody in the building. Make sure you're all dropping likes. Make sure you're all subscribing to the channel. Lean on that like button. It costs you nothing to push that button. Salute to everybody. We just rocking out. Let me get back to the content because we got a lot to break down, y'all. Make sure y'all all dropping like so more people can join us. Salute to y'all and welcome to On-Go.
Charges of racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking, transportation to engage in prostitution. He hasn't been hit with additional charges. There's no new defendants, but really he's pled not guilty already to all of these charges originally. But really this new indictment focuses on allegations that he engaged in forced labor as part of the underlying racketeering criminal enterprise charge. We'll talk more about that. Now, it is possible that lawyers for Combs will also ask Judge Arun Subramanian to dismiss part of his criminal indictment, claiming that one of the charges that he's being faced and that he's that's being used against him is racist, that it was rooted in racism, that the prosecutors have engaged in selective prosecution, and this is the prostitution charge that he wants tossed. Then we also expect to hear arguments regarding jury selection. Both the government and the defense have proposed vastly different schedules ahead of Combs' May 5th trial date, along with jury selection being anticipating arguments over how that's going to work and whether or not there should be a written jury questionnaire and what questions will be on that questionnaire. But also, one other highly anticipated topic surrounds CNN and the widely circulated hotel footage that was released last year, allegedly showing Combs beating up his ex-girlfriend, Cassie Ventura, who we believe is victim one in this case. And this happened back in 2016. And the defense is alleging that CNN purchased the only known copy of this surveillance footage, altered it, and then destroyed the original footage. And they plan to file a motion to exclude that altered footage from coming into trial. Now, we are going to be providing you live updates from what is happening in that courtroom. There is no cameras allowed in the courtroom, but we're going to provide you live updates. I already have live updates for you right now. And we're also going to be taking your questions. So if you have questions about this case, about what is happening in real time in that courtroom, submit them on YouTube. We will answer.
The sex trafficking.
It's a lot going on in this case, man. It's a lot, man. We're going to break this down, man. You know, we know CNN wild out. They bought the sole copy. Listen to me, man. They bought the sole copy, altered it. Not only altered it, they destroyed it. But why would you want to destroy this? But CNN maintains that, hey, we ain't destroyed nothing. This is a new update. I just updated y'all on. CNN said, nah, we ain't destroyed nothing. Actually, we did what we did, exactly what we was given. And actually, the said video is not destroyed. It's actually with the source. That's what they said. Close quote. It's with the source. So they already deterred the little energy to wherever they need to be going to look down. But it's looking like CNN may be involved in testifying during this case just because they didn't alter the stuff. So there's a lot going to make sure everybody's dropping likes, man.
That's
salute to all of y'all.
That they have to overcome. Although legally speaking, you know, you can make the argument. It's still in people's minds. How is this sex trafficking? And like I said, it is not that the legal elements aren't going to be met, because I think they are. And in terms of what the evidence is, it seems like they've reached that point.
Right.
What my argument is a jury is going to have a tough time wrestling with charging someone criminally for someone calling a prostitute to come over and make $10,000.
Let me add a little bit more context to all this. So this is going to answer some of the questions we're already getting in from YouTube. So one of the questions is from Fabio Barney Benton. What is a superseding indictment? It is basically almost an amended indictment. There is something new here. There's additional allegations that have been put forward. Sometimes you'll see additional defendants named in an indictment or additional charges. That's not what we have here. Because the second question we have is from Ann F. What, if anything, is new in this indictment? Well, this is what we're talking about. This one new paragraph. Combs, along with members and associates of the enterprise, also maintained control over certain employees of the Combs business, whom he forced to work long hours with little sleep through use of, among other things, physical force, psychological harm, financial harm, and reputational harm, and or threats of the same. In doing so, Combs, assisted by members and associates of the enterprise, caused these employees to believe they would be harmed, including by losing their jobs if they did not comply with his demands. With respect to one employee, Combs used physical force, psychological harm, financial harm, and reputational harm, and or threats of the same to cause the employee to engage in sex acts with Combs. We do not know who these employees are. We do not know who that specific employee is. But again, this forced labor allegation helps support the underlying racketeering conspiracy criminal enterprise charge. And as we heard from a response from the defense, when this was filed, it seems they may be calling people who work with Sean Combs to negate that. Now, Safa, I have a question for you as we get a little bit more into this. This is an update again from court. Combs' lawyer, Mark Agnifilo, said, "We'd like a sequestered voir dire." The judge says, "We'll do that. Next is defense discovery. You'd like to do something like in the Eisenberg case." Before we even get to the defense discovery, it seems right now, Safa, the defense is winning a lot of this. So now they've got their proposed schedule where you're not going to see the actual maybe opening statements till May 12th. Now they're going to have a sequestered voir dire. Is this good? Is this a good thing?
I think this is a great thing for the defense. One of the things that's important is that they adequately prepare for their trial, especially heading into that voir dire period. A lot of times cases are won or lost by the jury that you pick. And it's so important for attorneys on both sides to be able to, find out who these potential jurors are, do their own investigations into those potential jurors to ensure that they're appropriately and properly picking the right jurors. I think for time's sake, this is also really good because it allows the case to push further along. I think that this trial is going to take about 2 months, and we want to make sure that there's no undue delay. And so I think that moving forward in the voir dire process in this way is most efficient. I think it's great for the defense.
We have a question from Haija Del Alcimio. This is from me. Why did you say allegedly? The whole world saw with their own eyeballs him beating sweet Cassie. Look, the reason I have to say allegedly is because he hasn't been convicted of anything with respect to that video. He hasn't been found liable with respect to anything in that video. I think we can all make the argument it's pretty clear what we see, but just as a matter of law, I have to say that. Now, I want to move on to something else. Bradford, now it's moved on. This is a live update, moved on to the discussion of the CNN video, which we just talked about. So the judge asked AUSA Steiner, the prosecutor in this case, on the CNN video, is there an issue with it? Are you going to use it? Mr. Agnifilo says there is a motion incoming. Again, the idea that they want to have it excluded because they said that CNN altered it. And then AUSA Steiner replies, we want their Rule 17 subpoena returns to understand what they have. Our view is that the video is direct evidence. And just let me add one more update from court. The judge says, we do not have the original security video. The prosecutor responds, we have the CNN and a recording of the original footage. The judge responds, will you confer with the defense to agree on which video will be used at trial? You're not trying to mislead one, are you? And to which the prosecutor says, of course not. Now, Combs' lawyer, Mark Agnifilo, responds, a source gave CNN hotel footage. CNN ran that footage through a free editing software. Our expert says that changed the nature of the action, making it up to double time quicker. They took things out of sequence, took out the timestamps. Now, Bradford, I can understand why the defense is focusing so much on this key piece of evidence, because it is a key piece of evidence. It is really bad. What are we supposed to take away from this, and whether or not it will be included or excluded from trial?
So if the allegations are true, this type of stuff gets me fired up, right? It's CNN buys a video and then takes that video, knowing that it's probably going to be evidence either in a civil or criminal trial. They manipulate the video in terms of time. And I'm just relying on what the defense is saying. I don't know this. But if it's true, they manipulate the video as to sequence and time, take the timestamp off. It's probably shortened from the whole video that they received because it could have been an hour-long video, but we only have those 4 or 5 minutes of what we see. Now, if the original video is not available and the government is saying, well, Judge, we have the quote-unquote original video, they could be talking about the original video that CNN manipulated, not the original video that they got from the hotel. So it's like a word puzzle here. And it always comes down to, whenever you deal with the government, it seems like you have to nail them down on these terms and say, do you mean you have the original video that they got from the hotel?
Bradford, let me just follow that up with you because we have another update. So I'm curious what you think about this. Mark Agnifilo, again, Sean Combs' lawyer, said, "We say the video is deceptive. We'll bring that before Your Honor." To which the judge responded, Bradford, "A possible solution would be to slow it down or put it in the right sequence. You may want to block it even if it's totally accurate. Try to come to a compromise." What does that mean?
It means that he's leaning towards letting it in. That's my first impression. But that being said, you have to take a look at where the video came from, the chain of custody, how it was manipulated, how it happened to fall into their hands. Why does CNN get a free pass here for destroying evidence that they knew would possibly use in a civil or criminal action? And from what I've read, the criminal action was already started when CNN destroyed this original video. Why is there no investigation about CNN for destroying a key piece of evidence and doing whatever they wanted with it, slowing it up, speeding it down, whatever they were going to do to it? It's not what should be turned over to the defense.
CNN denied the allegations. In a statement to USA Today, they said CNN never altered the video, did not destroy the original copy of the footage, which was retained by the source. CNN aired the story about the video several months before Combs was arrested. I'll tell you what, Bradford, we'll talk a little bit more about that. I do want to move on to another question, Safa, that we just got. This is from Because. If the feds found 3 AR-15s with the serial numbers scratched off, then why are they not adding it to the charges? Is that not a pretty big deal? Now, we know that that is an allegation, that is an underlying act as part of the overall racketeering conspiracy charge. That is a fair question. If the goal is to try to go after Sean Combs and convict him of federal charges, why not, from a straight point of view, just charge him separately, count 4 in the indictment with firearms offenses?
That's a really fair point. And I think what the prosecution was trying to do here is stick to this theory that this is a sex trafficking case, that although firearms may have been located, those alleged firearms and the scratched off serial numbers are the underlying charge to the RICO Act, which is essentially a catch-all to everything that Mr. Combs is facing here. One of the most important things is to start with your strongest point and your strongest arguments. And I think the government here, their position is their strength is in the RICO racketeering activity, or RICO and racketeering charge, subsequently followed by the additional charges that essentially were indictment today. Can't really speak to as of why. The prosecution does have the discretion to determine what they are going to add in these indictments, as long as they bypass it, of course, through grand jury proceedings. So it's really hard to tell, but I think, in my opinion, they believe that the sex trafficking and conspiracy component is their strongest case.
Safa, I'll follow up with. Yeah, Bradford.
I just want to add on that. In my experience with the government, and what she said is 100% accurate in terms of the strength and going with the strength of what's the best that you have. But also, I don't think they can prove anything with the guns. This is a 10,000 square foot house. It probably didn't have prints, probably didn't have his DNA on it, probably didn't have enough for them to charge him with it. So what they do is, and the government always loves to do this, is stick it in where it's an underlying on a RICO, so they can dirty you up, even though they can't prove that you had knowledge of the guns, that they were your guns, that this is a 10,000 square foot house. He's got security guards and other people coming and going. So instead of focusing and saying, like, these are his guns, and we can prove these are his guns, because they can't, we're going to say, oh, it's part of this RICO conspiracy. He's got a big house, but he's got guns all over it, and he's got people coming and going, and they're all part of this big RICO conspiracy. That usually is what happens with these type of cases.
And we have a question that I'll get to about RICO in a second, but I got to give everybody an update from court. The judge asked, why do we need 2 sets of motions, maybe about motions in limine, these evidentiary motions about what can be admitted into trial? And Combs' lawyer, Shapiro, says, we propose to file March 19th. The judge said, so ordered. Combs' other lawyer, Agnifilo, we want the identity of the people in the 404B letter. Could you extend your order about the enterprise letter to that? And AUSA Steiner, prosecutor here, the 413 notice was to put the defense on motion, to which Combs' counsel says, this is under seal. The judge says, and this discussion too. The prosecutor says, we can refer to the letter. Shapiro responds, be more vague about it. This is a little cryptic here, Safa, but basically, we've talked about this before on sidebars. There is an enterprise.
Salute to everybody in the building. You already know the vibe. Salute to everybody, man. This is a lot to break down, man. We got new things coming in, new charges that they said, but I don't know if they charged them with them, but they had brought them up as well. We have a few things that we understand what's going on here, right? As far as this debate over the CNN video, we understand that the judge questions the prosecutor. Okay, the judge asked the prosecutor, AUSA Steiner, if the CNN video is an issue and whether they plan to use it in court. We understand that some people are saying that this would be inadmissible in court. They're going to throw it out as well. We understand that Cassie even won her case on the heels of this same said video. So we don't hear them saying like the things that happened really in it is like altered, but maybe the time, how they trimmed it, or whatever else they've done, but maybe as well as, you know, I remember at one point I heard that they were saying something with like how when Diddy's throwing like the vase or whatever it is that's on that nightstand, on that table on the side, they kind of, you know, altered the footage a little bit to make it seem in a way. So I don't know. Because we all seen a lot of things with our eyes, but you know, technology is technology, bro. But to that same thing, the prosecutor's response, right? So the prosecutor's response is that they believe the video is direct evidence, but request subpoenas, right? The records from the defense to understand what they have. They're trying to subpoena them to understand what they have, but we also understand that CNN has made a statement to say, listen, bro, what had happened? What had happened? That wasn't us. We aired the footage how we aired it, how it came, and any other thing got to deal with the source. We got it how it came. So you got to take it up with the source. So they already deflected that towards the source, whomsoever the source is. And they said that the said footage was destroyed. But CNN said, we never destroyed no footage. The footage is still with the source. That's what CNN said. All right. Now, we have judges' key statements on certain things as we do not have the original security video. This is one of the judge's key statements. The prosecutor's admissions. They only have CNN's version and a recording of the original footage, which is not the same as the raw, unedited hotel footage. We understand that that same hotel that we're talking about is not in the same place. They have other chains, other locations, but that location is no more. So therefore, that video was the only video. So CNN had obtained the only copy of this video. Okay, so Diddy lawyer claims that CNN tampered with the video. You know what I'm saying? Diddy's lawyer says that CNN got the footage from a third-party source. We understand that. CNN has broke that down to say that they did. CNN ran it through free editing software, which increased the speed up to double time, removed the timestamps. So there is no way to verify the accuracy of what time, what is, or where it's at, right? They removed all the timestamps, right? And it changed the sequence of events then. So now they've also altered it in that sense now. So maybe the events have happened, but now they've altered how they take place now. So maybe this happens before that and that happens before this, but no one is still saying that these things didn't take place. See what I'm saying? So that's good to still hold on to, right? The defense argues that the edits make Diddy look worse than what actually happened. The chain of custody is in question, meaning who had the original, who had it edited, and who was passing it along the whole time. So who is this source that CNN is quoting as in having, you know what I mean? Who are these people? And so if CNN altered this video, the defense may argue that it shouldn't be used in court. And this is exactly what is happening now. And I don't think that this video should be or would be used in court. And now they're saying that CNN or people from CNN, I don't know, should have to testify in this. I see CNN is throwing it to some third-party source, so we don't know who it is. Do you give up your sources? That's a whole nother question. Do they have to give up their sources? That's a whole nother question with your journalistic integrity and all those things. Do you have to give up your source? I don't think they really have to. So they might have to take the brunt of that for their source or just out your source. All right, boom. The judge, let's say what the judge's possible solutions could be, right? I've just taken my own little notes of what I think, right? So the judge suggests a compromise. Instead of throwing out the video, he suggests maybe slowing it down to normal speed, maybe restoring the correct sequences, putting it in order of how it really transpired and took place. That'd be a good idea. Jinkies, Velma, right? The defense still wants it blocked completely because they say that it's deceptive. And I believe that it was all deceptive too. It seemed that they was in for Diddy more than even people that was in for Diddy. Why would you be taking this tape, altering the tape? If you have said footage, you have what you have. You know what you have is gold in your hand anyway. You know it's about to cause a big stir anyway. So why do you have to alter the footage and alter the sequences of things? If you just trim it, you should have just trimmed it. Look, this happened, that happened, that happened, that happened. So I think they played themselves on that part. I most definitely think they played themselves on that part.
Oh, no, you can't be serious. That's some bullshit right there.
I think they did. That's just me. Make sure everybody's getting a like, sub, salute to all of y'all. We want double-digit likes because we double-digit type people. Facts. And then we getting into triple-digit because we triple-digit type people. Facts, and so on and so forth. Let's get into it.
Prize letter. We believe at least one, maybe two were filed. That basically lays out a little bit more of the allegations of the RICO enterprise, dates, times, places, in the sense to protect witnesses and victims' identities. It's been put under seal. What is this back and forth about? Can you make sense of what's going on?
I'm not quite sure. It seems that there may be information or witnesses that the defense is still looking to find out or ascertain who they are, and so that they can continue their investigation as they prepare towards trial. So I don't know what's stated in the enterprise letter. I do believe it's under seal.
Safa, they mentioned 404B, right? And that would be other acts, other crimes. I mean, how expansive are they making this prosecution against Sean Combs?
Absolutely, and it's very expansive, and that's one of the most important things as attorneys when we proceed through these cases is we make requests for what we call bill of particulars, and we ask for the government to particularize how they intend on proving the factual allegations in this case. And so I don't know if that enterprise letter includes or encompasses some of that information that ultimately should be provided to the defense as they prepare for trial, or if the government is still sort of hiding the ball at this point with who are the witnesses and what are the alleged activities specific to that RICO charge.
I'm going to get to more of the questions that we have. They're flooding in right now, so we're going to continue this conversation, but there's so much happening, the updates from court that I want to get to. So Bradford, the prosecutor in this case, said, the notice just tees us up for motion practice on if they will be allowed to testify. Many of these individuals who may never get their day in court are incredibly frightened by having their names disclosed to the defense. To which the judge responds, all right, Mr. Agnifilo or Ms. Shapiro, do you need the identities for the motion? To which Agnifilo responds, I think we do. The attacks don't usually relate to entirely legal issues. We don't want to have our hand behind our back. Some of them we know. Okay, so they obviously want transparency. They want as much information about the prosecution's case. There is this balancing act between what can be properly disclosed. What's going on here?
It's complete garbage. So, whenever I have like a gang case or I have a case with RICO or I have a high profile case where they're saying the guy's a dangerous guy and all of a sudden we can't we can't tell you all these witnesses we could use against you because they're frightened. Well, I get it, but that's what we're here for. That's what court is. That's why people feel the judicial system needs to be gutted. That's why people feel that there's no transparency, that when you get charged in a federal crime, that they get away with literal murder because they're not disclosing things that they should be disclosing, Brady evidence, and that's evidence that may assist the defense. There's all these different arguments that are made by the defense and all these different arguments that I've made many, many times where people are like, oh, well, that's not really Brady, or let's do a weighing, listen. These are witnesses. This is a very important case. This man's life is on the line. And you're going to tell me that you're not going to turn over people that are making accusations, that are saying he's part of this thing, that this is his MO, this is what he did to me 15 years ago, and you're not going to turn that over so I can start investigating, and it's 2 months away, 3 months away from trial? I think that is the biggest cop-out. And you see the government do it time and time again on these cases. And it gets to the point where individuals, just a regular average Joe, get so tired of hearing these excuses from the government or from the state that they're not going to turn over witnesses' testimony or witnesses' identities. It's really something that I think the judge should take very personally and say, listen, I understand where you're coming from, but we're going to turn this over to the defense attorneys, and we're going to have an order that says we can't, you can't disclose it to anybody else, or maybe you can't discuss it with your client for a week, or whatever it is. The guy is in custody. He can only use the phone that's on tape record. So they're going to know if he's discussing these individuals or if these individuals' identities get out. So I think that they should turn over these names so that you can at least have some semblance of a good defense against individuals that are making very serious allegations against someone.
So I have another update from court, and then I'm going to go to two questions for you, Safa. They're kind of connected, but the judge just said, okay, I'm going to order the government to provide these names on Monday on an attorney eyes only basis, which would seem to suggest that maybe Combs wouldn't know the identities of these people. Motion practice starts Wednesday. The prosecutor said another option is for us to move first on March 19th, that they'd have to move, that they'd have to get to March 26th. Judge said, no, it's 4 days. So they're working on scheduling. Safa, two questions that are related here. So first one is from Wayward Sisters. So what makes this a federal case? And then we have a question from Dad. I don't know if this is my dad. Hi, if it is. How is this a RICO case? Any law experts make sense of this or ever heard of this before? One person RICO case? Because he is right now the only criminal defendant charged in this action, Safa. So what makes this a federal case? And also what makes this a RICO case if he's the only one being charged?
I'm going to answer the latter first. So it is very surprising that he is still the only defendant on this case. A lot of times with RICO cases, you see a number of defendants or co-defendants. And so it's actually been very surprising to me that there haven't been any additional defendants added on here. Now, with respect to the specific charges and why this is a federal case is because the federal government oftentimes has catch-alls. And one of those catch-alls is that anything transported via interstate commerce, they have jurisdiction over. And so there are already the legislations or the statutes that essentially are specific to RICO, racketeering, and organized crime, essentially alleging that this is a criminal enterprise and they've engaged in a number of underlying acts or activities, specifically kidnapping, arson, and a number of other activities. And specific to Mr. Combs' case, there's a portion of the indictment that reads that these individuals who engaged in sex trafficking or sex workers were transported from one state to another, which is essentially interstate commerce, which the federal government has jurisdiction over those things. And so ultimately, that is a big reason why the government here has taken jurisdiction over this case. I think there's some statute of limitations issues with respect to other states and whether New York or California, and ultimately, those cases opted not to be prosecuted. And, so we're dealing with the federal jurisdiction here in that indictment.
Well, by the way, just if anybody's joining us, I want to let everybody know we are taking your questions right now on YouTube about what is happening live in court right now. We're also doing live updates and about the case in general. So make sure to submit them. We'll answer them on air. And again, Elizabeth Milner, our very own reporter, is in that courtroom. She's going to come out later, give us her sense about what she saw happen in there. We have some more questions coming in as we also getting more updates. So Bradford, I'll go to you. We have a question from Highs Motivated 27. Why did Diddy apologize for the beating in the video that surfaced if he didn't do it?
Yeah, great question. Listen, we all saw the video. We all saw what was on the video. We can use our own judgment as to what we saw in the video and how it occurred and things of that nature. And I think that at the time he apologized because he thought in his mind, and I'm sure he was advised, that that would be the best route to take in order to mitigate the circumstances that were going on. Now, it could be that he was truly sorry for what we all saw in that video and that he wanted to put that apology out. But generally speaking, people that apologize after the fact and not before the fact are usually apologizing to mitigate the circumstances that they're under. Now, do I know that to be a fact? No. Do I think under my 28 years of experience that happens a lot? Probably 95% of the time. So I think that he apologized to try and put a fire out, to try and mitigate what was going on, and to try to alleviate some of the bad press and also the possible criminal and civil charges that were coming down the pipe.
And by the way, I mean, I think the defense is suggesting, yes, it was an unfortunate incident of domestic violence, but it's not an incident of sex trafficking, where the prosecution would counter. We have a witness who was in that hotel room that was, allegedly about to engage in this, be a freak off, a commercial sex act, group sex, a legal group sex of some kind. And that's how they're going to tie it to the overall charge. So we'll see where that goes. Okay, I have a question for you, Safa. Carly Rodriguez asks, if CNN did destroy the video, could they face legal consequences?
Get them.
It's certainly possible. Tampering with evidence is always an option. So it'll be interesting to see. But I think one of the things that the defense is going at here specific to that, and in the law we call the best evidence rule, is that if there's a key piece of evidence or material piece of evidence that's being presented at trial or is going to be presented at trial, in theory, it should be the original copy. So it should be the original copy of this footage, not anything that was clipped or doctored up or altered by CNN whatsoever. We don't know who has the original footage at this point right now either. We don't know if that's been disclosed to the defense or the prosecution. I have a feeling the prosecution probably does know who has that original footage. But the argument to be made here is that what is required is that original piece of evidence or that original video footage. And if if they can't provide that to us, then certainly, and it's not destroyed, it does exist somewhere, then it should be kept out from the trial because it is not the original evidence in the best evidence rule.
Question for you, Bradford. Interesting one. This is from Wolves in France. And I'm not sure what this means exactly. Is there a compensation tier? How does the judge calculate it? Thank you for all the super coverage. I'm tuning in from SW France. Well, thank you for watching. It seems to me that this might be a confusion between criminal law and civil law, unless I'm looking at it the wrong way, Bradford. What do you make of this question?
I think so. Sometimes in criminal cases, you can have restitution that's owed in different kinds of criminal cases. In this kind of criminal case, I don't see that being an issue. And there is a civil matter that's going on, but not with the most important parties to this criminal case, because that has been settled already. So I don't believe that, in this criminal case, I don't think there's going to be a restitution issue. That would be the only thing that would be some sort of money issue. And I think that the individual is probably thinking of a civil case that has nothing to do with this criminal case.
We have an update from court. Judge says next pretrial conference is April 25th. If we need more after that, we can do it. Prosecutor says the government intends to produce 3,500 material on a daily basis as we get closer to trial. The judge said, I saw some nods from the back, and Agnifilo, Combs' attorney, says that's fine. Safa, 3,500 material. Isn't this in relation to witness statements, right?
Yes. And so one of the things with discovery and all of these sorts of things that we're discussing is that there's an ongoing obligation from the government to provide and turn over these materials on an ongoing basis. Me personally, I think all of these things should be turned over well before trial so that there's no surprise, so that the defense has the ability to investigate everything thoroughly. And I think it's quite unfair that the government gets to hold on to these things with such a short notice or such a short time frame between the beginning of trial, which essentially is scheduled to begin a week later, at least during the voir dire process. But yes, that is correct.
Question.
That's what's crazy, by the way. It's nuts. When that's why I always say, people really need, if a person sits and watches a federal trial, and I've had many, and where you sit there and someone takes the stand and you say to your client, who's that guy? And he says, I don't even know who that guy is. I don't even recognize him. And they're like, oh, by the way, here's his statement as he takes the stand. And here you're reading a 3-page statement. This guy's talking. And you're reading a 3-page statement, and they don't have to turn. There's no mandatory turn.
Salute to everybody in the building. Make sure y'all all dropping likes in the building.
Turn over the stuff 3 days before trial. Let them at least so they can review it, turn it over a week before trial. And they call this Jenks material 3500, where there's statements that are ongoing. And I don't hold their feet to the fire on everything, because sometimes an agent may get a statement at the last minute that maybe they weren't able to get. But when you have those statements, there is no reason not to turn those over, but for sandbagging. And it's really another unfair area of law that you get to experience, when you're in federal trial. And I remember my very first federal trial, where I'm like, hey, where are these witness statements? Oh, you'll get them when they take the stand. And
You'll get them at the lunch break. You'll get them at the lunch break. Yeah. It really happens. It really happens that soon before someone.
Oh, it depends on the prosecutor and it depends on the judge. But when you have a very,
use your words carefully.
I'm figuring out how to say this. When you don't have a good relationship with the prosecutor, and you are going toe to toe, and it is, Ivan Drago and Rocky in the courtroom, they abide by the rules like this, and they say, hey, you're not entitled to it until they take the stand. You're not entitled to it until this time, and you don't get it. So it's just like this little game that everybody plays, and what people don't realize is they're playing a game, but someone's life is on the line with this game that they're playing. And that always is what gets me fired up, is that, you're playing these little discovery games, and what is hanging in the balance is not just someone's life, but overall the big picture of justice. What is justice? And that's the problem that a lot of people have when they watch these trials. And I think that's why cameras generally aren't allowed into federal court, is because no one wants to see, like, here's your discovery when someone takes the stand, because people would normally be outraged by that.
Okay, I have quite the update from court. So the prosecutor said they have told us they will not seek a trial delay, presumably meaning the prosecution, and presumably seeming the defense. The defense comes back with Mark Agnifilo. There is no application with regard to the trial date. We recently came into possession of a lot of medical records. We want an expert on prescription medicines. Judge says, okay. And now we are getting word that the hearing is over, which is very interesting, because I feel like there was a lot more issues they needed to get into, but appears maybe not at this point. So now we're going to be waiting for a possible press conference outside of that courthouse. And again, Elizabeth Milner's inside that courtroom. She's going to come out. She's going to clarify anything we don't have questions about, and also tell us, what did Diddy look like, and what were her observations of him, and was anybody in there supporting him? Okay, before we get to that, we have more questions coming in, and to talk a little bit more about this. So Safa, one of the questions that we got is from Ann Brown. Will there be any further superseding indictments?
You never know until you know.
Good question.
Not surprising with this prosecution.
Good question.
If on the eve of trial or at the 11th hour, there's another superseding indictment. That's why I think it's always important, and again, as a former prosecutor, is that you gather all of the evidence that you have first, and then you put your case into grand jury for indictments. And you indict them on your strongest points, your strongest arguments, and then anything that you think fits and is sufficient. Once you get into a second or a third superseding indictment, then as a defense attorney, I look at those things like, you may not have the strongest case, or you may not have had a case as strong as you think you did, if you have to continue to add and alter charges. You've had this evidence for quite a bit, at least since last year. So why is it now that you're now adding these additional charges and a superseding indictment? But it would not surprise me. We won't know unless we get there.
By the way, this is a live look that we have outside of that federal courthouse in downtown Manhattan, waiting for a press conference. We're waiting to hear from Elizabeth Milner as well. Question for you, Bradford, from Oh No, I Said My Opinion. I kind of love that. Doesn't he have the right to face his accusers?
Yeah, I mean, he's gonna face his accusers. And when I was talking about before, when we were discussing whether or not they're going to disclose those names, I don't want to say I'd be a great federal judge, but it's exactly the ruling that the judge said. You got to disclose these names. You're not going to hide these names from somebody and use some excuse that they're afraid to come forward. You're going to describe these individuals. You're going to give them their names. You're going to give them their information so they can have some semblance of a defense against what they're saying. So yes, he's going to have his day in court. He's going to face his accusers, as many as they have. And my guess is like they added that paragraph to add more witnesses, right? So they're going to add more witnesses. This is a case, in my opinion, that the prosecution will try to dirty him up as much as possible on anything they possibly can, because I think they know the trouble with their case. And the trouble with their case, in my opinion, is the same from when I opened. And what I opened with was, you are going to have to say these sex offs, these freak offs, these things, these multiple individuals. When it boils down to it, then it only is a girlfriend, a prostitute that's getting 10 grand an hour, and a Diddy. So now you're going to have to come up with, how did you sell? And you sold me a Ferrari, but sitting outside is a Yugo. How are you going to sell that to me? Right? So that's the problem the prosecution has here. And like I said, legally, is it sufficient? Maybe. But is it in the minds of a jury when you see some guy making 10 grand an hour and you're going to get evidence that the girls were there, they were doing it, and they were contacting these individuals on their own in some instances, I've heard. When you start hearing those things, I think it makes the case more difficult to say this is sex trafficking.
I agree. I think that there is going to be an important, clear narrative the prosecution has to assert in order to have this jury accept and understand these charges. This is not the most straightforward case, but it'll be interesting to see who the witnesses are and what that narrative is. I will tell you, and this is interesting, Saba. So, by the way, I love the idea of Judge Cohen. Judge Bradford Cohen. Fair but firm. Judge Cohen. There we go. Saba, let me go to you on this. We have a question from KXGTY Meowsers. Could Diddy be charged with tampering with evidence? Now, my understanding is right now, he's hit with multiple acts of tampering with a witness, victim, or informant, not as individual charges, but again, underlying acts, to be more specific, as part of a racketeering conspiracy case. Could he be charged, either a part of that or separately, with tampering with evidence?
That's always a possibility. And with respect to that type of charge, I think if they were going to charge it, they would have already done it in that manner. Of course, we don't know if everything's going to turn over to the defense at this point in time. We don't know, and we've still got the witness names that are outstanding. So could something happen between the time of those disclosures and the time that we get to trial, or as these individuals are testifying? Absolutely. So that is a possibility, although it doesn't seem to be that at this point in time.
Bradford from Rel, do you think it matters who gave CNN the tape?
That's a good one. Does it matter in the criminal case? It could. It just depends on how they got it, when they got it. Again, it goes to the chain of custody, right? So if this person is really dirtied up, if this is someone who has fraud charges in his past and all these different things, is it possible that it could be added to Mark's motion by saying, hey, they only have this other video. This guy says he's got the quote-unquote original, but this guy is not a good guy. He's got fraud in his past. We need to put him on the stand and find out where he got it from and how he got it. Certainly it could. I don't know if it's going to. I think that would lend itself more to like how CNN got the video, what they did with the video, and things of that nature to hold them in contempt, and or have some sort of investigation on why they allegedly destroyed the original tape.
So we have two questions that are very similar. I'm going to go to it. We have one from Movement Freedom. How long is Matt's sentence at this point? And also from NANX3, how much time can he possibly get? So Safa, I'm going to throw it to you, but first I'm going to lay out what the actual the range is here. You tell.
Let me say that. Let me say this. All right. The trafficking charges and the charges that's being tracked. You see the Mann Act? The Mann Act? That alone? Not a good thing. Okay? They don't have certain charges in the federal crimes and federal charges. Right? So even if it's like pedophilia and certain charges like that, PDF, I should never say that. PDF, my bad. But even if it's like PDF type stuff, it'll go under the Mann Act. It'll fall under the Mann Act. Okay? A couple of people were charged with the Mann Act, and we see how much time they got. That's how come when R. Kelly got charged with the Mann Act, I already knew it was about to slay him. Because the person that was black that got charged before him with that, and it was a white guy that got charged, and it was a black guy that got charged. It was one white guy that was trying to form up something, and they charged him with it. And then the next guy that they kept, his name is, you see this? Okay, Dr. That. You see that word right there? Dr. That. That you see where I'm from. That guy was charged with the Mann Act as well. And he received, I think, 138 years, if I'm not mistaken. So you know that when, look, they gave R. Kelly 30 in one case, I think 30, you know what I mean? So they don't listen, when it comes to that Mann Act, you know what I mean? You just hope you could beat these cases, bro. It's not even about you want to be charged and sentenced with these things. Like, for real. If you're charged with the Mann Act, bro, you could just kiss it goodbye. You're doing 30, them type numbers, bro. 40, 50, them kind of numbers when you're getting sentenced for these types of acts, bro. Straight. I'll just name 2 people for a fact that got charged with it. I can name a couple of other people, but you may not know some other people. You know what I mean? But you know R. Kelly. You know he got charged with it, and they slayed him. And you might have heard of the dude I just told you, Dr. That. Yeah, they did. Slayed him. Bomb. You know what I mean? He had started his own little thing in Atlanta. Allegedly had Erykah Badu and mad people was with him, rocking with him, not on the bull, but studying his knowledge. He was one of them kinds of people. You know what I'm saying? And he built a land with, like, he turned his whole land into Egypt, bro. Word, bro. I can show you pictures and all that, bro. You know what I mean? But it's a lot, bro. Y'all just got to do your own history and do your own knowledge to understand what the hell's happening out here. But yeah, he got charged with the Mann Act, and they gave him 130 something. So that's all I'm gonna say. When it comes to time, we don't know. Just unlimited, we know. Trust me. If he's found guilty of these things, kiss it goodbye, bro. I'm telling you, kiss it goodbye. You're not touching road again. You're not touching soil, bro. It's not gonna happen. Trust me. There's no way. There's nobody that got sentenced for nothing like that. That was running around trotting on lands like they was chilling. Nah, bro.
Tell me what's a possibility if he's convicted across the board. So I'm actually taking this from the press release from the Department of Justice when he was indicted. So the racketeering conspiracy carries a maximum sentence of life in prison. The sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion carries a maximum sentence of life in prison and a mandatory minimum sentence of 15 years in prison. And the transportation for purposes of prostitution carries a maximum sentence of 10 years in prison. What do you think he would get, Safa, if he was convicted?
Oh, what he would get is going to be interesting, because one of the things that happens in federal court that is different from state court.
Y'all drop a like in the building. Y'all salute to everybody that's new. Drop a like. Salute.
Where Mr. Combs would fall on those sentencing guidelines is going to depend on how he's categorized, any prior criminal history he may have had, any aggravating factors or anything of that sort. And I'm sure if Mr. Combs is convicted, his attorney is going to set forth a mitigation package to the judge, and at the sentencing hearing will provide many things that would mitigate the sentence that Mr. Combs could ultimately face, which Mr. Combs may never see the light of day again if he's convicted on these charges. So that is certainly a possibility. That's how serious they are. There is the possibility that after a trial, the jury may come back guilty on some charges and not guilty on others. Hypothetically, if the jury were to come back,
I know, bro. I know. It's all love, bro.
Sentence, but come back guilty on a charge that may carry a penalty of 10 to 15 years, then he would be sentenced as such.
By the way, we have a question here we're waiting, by the way, for Elizabeth Milner. Our word is she might be jumping on relatively soon. So as soon as she can, we'll jump out to her. Question from either Michael or Mikhail Jordan. Mikhail Jordan. When and if will there be another bail hearing? It's not going to happen. They've abandoned that issue a while back. But there is a question for you, Bradford. This is actually a really good question.
I already know, bro. You heard, Wall? I already know, bro. They had to run down on me because guess what, man? Listen, bro. Uma know I love her, man. I don't care, man. Uma. Love you, baby. I don't care. Uma. Love you, girl. Call me. Come on, baby. You know what it is, bro. Know what it is, bro. Y'all don't stop the black man from being a black man, y'all. Y'all don't stop the black man from being a black man, y'all. Salute to everybody. Y'all drop a like in the building. I appreciate everybody in the building, man. Drop where y'all from in the chat. We got Rage front page in the building, Wall Street. Why? You know why we got the Wall Streets in the building? Why? You know we in here, bro. You know we on the minds. We building, man. SWAT team, Brave in here. Travis Harper was just now with us in there. DJ Beard Gang. Everybody that's rocking with us, man. This is what we do around here. This is the Go Sector, the Go Network. Show love. I show love to y'all. This is what it's all about, man. Make sure you're a part of the Go Gang. Make sure you're part of the Go Sector. Make sure you are part of OOTA on Go. Feel me? Shout out to, you know what I mean, everybody that was in that, you know what I'm saying? The new ops, you know what I'm saying? It's real stuff. I got to speak with a lot of people. I did interviews with a few people that was in it at the time, years ago. So I understand deeper than some people may, you know what I mean? So I understand how it go, and I understand how it turned, you know what I mean? Trust me, I do. At the end of the day, I really, really do. You know what I mean? But salute to everybody. You already know how we doing this. I need everybody in the building dropping likes. Yeah, run it up. You already know. And yeah, we're gonna get back to some of this.
From Master Shake, will there be reenactments during the trial? How would that work?
I tend to feel that question was loaded. But
what would ever give you that idea?
I would answer no. I don't believe there's going to be any reenactments during the trial. This isn't one of those cases that there will be reenactments.
Would you like a different question? I'll give you a different question.
Sure.
Stacey B asks Bradford, if he's found innocent, can he be tried by state again for different charges?
Actually, you're going to be charged by the state with the same charges. So that's the difference in state and federal court, you know, in terms of, you know, and when I say the same charges, I don't mean the same statute numbers. You know, state crimes and federal crimes can be charged simultaneously for the same thing, and you can be charged twice. And we've seen this done in the past on cases that, you know, bring outrage to society, where, you know, an individual maybe got off on the state charges, and the feds are like, hey, we didn't like that result, so we're going to charge them federally. And or the other way around, where the feds have walked the guy, and, you know, all of a sudden you get a not guilty on a federal case, and the state's like, let me have a whack at it. I had a case in Tampa where I got a not guilty on a federal gun charge, and then the state charged him with murder with the same gun, and of course I won that too. But they tried. But they tried. They tried.
They tried.
I have a question.
They tried.
Gamble, who's been very patient and sending a lot of questions in the chat. This will go to you, Safa. Will all of these civil cases?
I want everybody to make sure they dropping likes in the building, man. This Diddy situation is a wild situation, man. This Diddy situation is a wild situation, man. Straight cheese, man. This is a lot. May 5th is scheduled for the trial. Hopefully they don't push it back or anything. It don't seem like they actually gave him a quick trial, speedy. Whew. You know, I mean, I was surprised he got a trial that quick. Being honest with you though. But yeah, what I'm saying is this, man. I need everybody to make sure they subscribe to this channel, make sure they turn on the notification bells to make sure they notify when we drop it. You know what I mean? We got a lot of different content we get into. So to all of the people that suggest content to me, you know what I mean? We're growing, we're moving in different direction with the content. So you can suggest dope content that you think is that content that will help us to move as well. You can suggest it. All you got to do is follow me on OOTA on Go on Instagram. You could DM me, you can message me, different type of things. A lot of people want to collab, a lot of people want to, you know what I mean, different things, man. I don't know what's on your minds. You know what I'm saying? But I can try to get to every one of y'all as I can, man. You know what I mean? But just holler at me. Let me know what y'all feeling, what y'all thinking, what y'all need. If it's things about me, like, yo, bro, I think you could do this better. I think you could do that better. That's what this whole thing is about. It's about us building and growing. You know what I mean? And that's what this whole channel is about. It's about us building and growing. Not just about me building and growing. It's not about that. This channel monetized in 3 weeks. Okay, it's only been alive for like 2 months. This channel, go back to the more info and go see. So we about to have 4,000, and that's only been in like 2 months. So everything is moving, and that, to me, that's slow. Trust me. But everything is moving because I'm not clout chasing nothing. I could have brought mad other people on my channel, big channels. It's all that. It's all good, bro. When everybody come on, it's gonna be a right thing, and we all nobody with the you think you bigger than nobody. I don't want that energy around me. I want everybody to be able to say, you know what, I'm gonna get my knees in the soil and my hands in the soil too and plant with my people, bro. Feel me? I don't care what walk of life you came from. You could have came from that walk of life. I don't care. Put the strap in your chest. Put your knees down the ground, bro. Put your hands in the soil and help us too. This is what's happening, bro. I'm from it too. So what happened? I'm gonna do it. I ain't no bigger than that. Ain't none of us greater than that. All right. And this is how we're gonna start affecting some of the young people that's out here. Point blank, period. If you out here, if you got 2-3 gray hairs and you don't want to affect no young people, move. You are useless. Move. I'm not for me, just from yourself, just move. Because if you got 1 or 2 gray hairs and you ain't trying to help some people that's younger than you, you're out. Straight. I'm telling you straight, bro. I'm telling you straight, brothers and sisters. So it's not about us no more. It's about some younger people, man. So let's know what we got to be doing out here. Cool. That's all I'm gonna tell y'all. Salute to everybody in the building. Make sure y'all all dropping like. Make sure.
All my niggas from the OOTA. All my niggas turn shooters. All my ops turn rap. All my niggas turn shooters. On the internet, you ain't been a threat. You been stuck in a computer. Show me.
So make sure everybody's notified. Make sure everybody's turning on the notification bells, and make sure, man. Listen, I'm going to be on this Diddy situation. We covering this up. Paperwork. I'm going to bring up some of the bill hearing paperwork. Y'all want me to go into the breakdowns, I will be going to that, because this is how I cover stuff. I don't cover stuff. Just you know what I mean? I want to get into the paperwork. I want to understand what the situation is, and I just don't want to listen to people talk about it. But I'm prefacing it by this. We getting updated in real time by people that have been covering it as well. So we're not fools. We could get inspired by inspiration and learn it. Not about jacking a swag either. Do my own research and know what the hell I need to know so I could chime in. That's what life's about, not just jacking the next man or the next woman thing. See it, get inspired, learn your own thing, get to it. This is what we have to start doing. So salute to all my people. Subscribe to the channel. Trust me, right now.
All my niggas turn shooters. All my ops turn rap. All my niggas from the OOTA. All my niggas turn shooters. All my ops turn rap. All my niggas turn shooters. On the internet, you ain't been a threat. You been stuck in a computer. Show me the proof. All my niggas turn shooters. All my niggas from the OOTA. Welcome to the OOTA. All my niggas from the OOTA. All my niggas turn shooters. All my ops turn rap. All my niggas turn shooters. On the internet, you ain't been a threat. You been stuck in a computer. Show me the proof. All my niggas turn shooters. All my niggas from the OOTA. Welcome to the OOTA. All of my niggas insane. They tryna catch a mistake. Young niggas putting in pain. It in the game, all for the game. Niggas ain't playing for nothing. Went in school, laying it bang. My little nigga kill my little nigga. Full-time job not to kill niggas. Jump off the porch of the field, nigga. You was in the house, I'm a field nigga. No fuck boys around real niggas. Been a drug dealer since a little nigga, huh? To get a kilo, they'll kill a nigga. Fuck how you feel, nigga. To get some kilos, I'll kill a nigga too. Throw that rock like I'm Montana. Good head, raise my antennas. G49, not San Fran. Beat the box with my bandana. Then I dip set like I'm Santana. I'm in UK like that Montana. She bring me money, you press her. You got a jug and finesse her. I give a dick that'll change her life. You leave her change on the dresser. Shorty, a wetty, a wetty. That pussy ready, get ready. Don't wanna get ahead of myself, but I want the head for the Getty. She said she fuck with the OOTA. I tell her open the Chevy. All my